Children, welcome to this YouTube channel. I am Dr. R.K. Sinha, PGT English. I am going to teach you a story of Standard 9, that is in the Kingdom of Fools. I will teach this story in two parts. First, the story itself, and in the second part I will analyze the story. I will give you a critical appreciation of the story. Now, the story begins with the king and his minister, who were called idiots. Why they were called idiots, that will be discussed in the second part. In this Kingdom of Fools, everything was opposite to our normal life. The king had ordered that days will be considered to be night and night will be considered to be days. Naturally, all the people were doing the same, fearing the death, because the king had announced those who will not follow his orders will be punished to death. So out of this fear, everybody was obeying him, and every activity was being done accordingly. It happened so that a guru and his disciple visited that kingdom. The guru was absolutely surprised to see the activities happening there. He told his disciple that this is a kingdom of fools and this is not safe for us to stay here any longer. So he suggested his disciple that we should go away from this place. We should immediately leave this place. But disciple was a glutton. He found that everything which was to be eaten was very cheap. So out of the greed for eating too much, he stayed there, and his guru left the place. He went away. Now, when the guru had gone, it so happened that once a burglar tried to break into the house of a rich merchant. When he was breaking the wall fell upon him, and that thief was killed. The brother of the burglar came and complained to the king that his brother was killed because of this incident, and this merchant was to be blamed for that. This merchant must be punished. The king, with authority, told that justice must be done. Now, what kind of justice this was, I will discuss later on in the second part. The king told that justice must be done, and he summoned that rich man. The rich man came there, and he told that no, this was not the case with me. The king, it was all the fault of the bricklayer. So I know the bricklayer. He had worked in the time of my father, and I know where he lives. The king ordered with a relief to call that bricklayer. The bricklayer was an old man. He was brought tied to the king. He came trembling and he spoke, "Oh yes, really, I had built this wall, but this is not the fault of mine only, because when I was building this wall, at that time I could remember that one dancing girl was going up and down, moving to and fro, which distracted my concentration, and when my concentration was not on laying the bricks, so it became weak and it fell down. So I am not to be blamed. I should not be punished. The real culprit is that dancing girl." The king hoped that he is telling right, so he just called that dancing girl. The dancing girl by that time had become a weak old woman. She came somehow and she told, "Yes, I remember the day when I was moving here and there, to and fro, without noticing this bricklayer, he must have been distracted by the sound of my anklet, by the jingling of my anklet. So she said that this was not my fault, rather this was the fault of the goldsmith whom I had given, with whom I had placed some order for some jewelry, but he was telling me lie, or he was giving excuse one after another to come after some time. That's why I was going again and again to him for getting my jewelry, but he did not give, so I always came and went. So this is not my fault. In place of my fault, I think that goldsmith was to be blamed, and that goldsmith must be punished for that, for delaying my delivery. So that ultimately that goldsmith was called, and that goldsmith came. He said, "Yes, sir, Your Honor, she is right, but what could I do? I had been placed a huge amount of work by some rich man, and without doing his work, I could not deliver the order placed by this dancing girl. So I am not to be blamed. This is to be blamed that rich merchant." The king asked, "Who was that rich merchant?" He told that the father of this rich merchant. Again the cycle moved to this rich merchant, and now the king said, "It is enough." It was declared that the rich merchant was the real culprit, and he said, "Damn, as soon as I saw you, I found that you were the real culprit." The king spoke to that rich merchant. The rich merchant pleaded, "Oh my lord, this is not my guilt. This was the guilt of my father." Then the king told that, "Yes, as you have inherited all the property and all the wealth of your father, so similarly you have also inherited his sins. And as he had committed the mistake of giving so much order, which made this dancing girl move and to and fro, so you are the real culprit and you must be hanged." Ultimately the king was satisfied, and he gave the order to prepare one steak. The steak was being prepared. In the meantime, the minister of that king saw that this was not a perfect steak. He understood that the king's neck will not suit this steak, so he just went near the king and appealed to his common sense, saying, "My lord, this merchant will not fit in this steak, so a person having thick neck must be caught for this." The king said that whatever, but somebody must be punished. Although if the merchant is not to be punished, in place of that merchant somebody has to be punished. And the minister started searching for a fit person to fit for that, a fat person who will fit for that steak. Ultimately their eyes fell on this disciple who had swollen after eating too much. His neck had become fat, and his neck might fit the steak, so he was caught. He was caught in the court of the king. He told that, "I am quite innocent," but the king listened nothing. The king ordered that instead of that rich merchant, this disciple would be punished, would be hanged. And so just when the time to be hanged came, he recalled his guru, and his guru could see everything in his vision. He appeared before him, and he said something in the ears of the disciple. All of a sudden the scene changes. Both the guru and the disciple started fighting among themselves. The king asked, "What is this?" Then the disciple told that, "Sir, you have ordered me to die, but my guru is saying that no, I will die. So the king asked, what is the reason? Then he told that he is saying that the person who will be hanged first will become the king in the next future, in the next time. He will also be, after death, he will also become the king, and the person who will die second, he will become his minister. So I want to die first, and my guru will die second, so that I can become the king and my guru will become my minister. Hearing this, the king and his minister were surprised. The king ordered to go without punishment, both of them, the guru and the disciple, and the king ordered that first of all I would be hanged, I would take the punishment, and secondly my minister would be punished. In this way, both the king and the minister both died, and the guru became the king and his disciple became the minister in that kingdom. Now the second part of the story is the criticism of the story. This is a humorous story. There are so many elements of humor in this story. First of all, in the very first opening line of the story, it has been said that both the king and his minister were idiots. In what way the king and his ministers were idiots? Because the king had ordered everything to go in reverse. How can day become night and how can night become day? This is quite impossible. But without having common sense, the king gave this type of order, this type of proclamation, and ultimately this was obeyed. So this is the first reason why the king and his ministers were called idiots. Secondly, the king announced justice must be done. He spoke this sentence very emphatically, but was he able to do the justice perfectly? No, never. So this is also a humorous element, that such a foolish king is saying that justice must be done, and whatever justice he gave, not a single justice was right. Third, he said that saying that rich merchant, he says that as soon as I saw you, I knew that you were the real culprit. If he was so sure about the rich merchant to be the real culprit, then why he was convinced by so many people to call the next person? And he asked, why didn't he punish that rich person in the very beginning? Second thing, that he did not consider the burglar or the thief a little wrong. Was a burglar not to be punished? Was a thief not to be punished? First of all, the first mistake, the first thing that was wrong was that the thief was trying to break into the house, or he broke the wall, just to enter the house. Only during this, the wall fell on him and he died. So the real culprit was the thief himself, but the king never considered himself to be a thief or to be a criminal or a person fit for punishment. In order, just he listened to the excuse of his brother and he went on calling one person after another for the punishment. So the king was not at all practical, the king was not at all wise, the king was not at all pragmatic. He must know the normal ways of life of this universe, of this earth. So these are the elements of humor in the story which we must know